Hi, Stephan Smith of Artsmith Craftworks. Be prepared for yet another box opening. I have some really cool stuff, some really intricate stuff, some stuff you won't believe. Stay tuned. I have a friend who gives me a lot of stuff, and it's usually because she's cleaning something out that she wants to get rid of because she saves stuff almost as badly as I do. And I won't mention any names, but this lady gives me like just tons of stuff, Monica. So we're gonna go through one of her baskets. There's bound to be just all kinds of stuff in here. Start with, we got some kind of a cover. It almost looks like I don't know what it is, a tablecloth or something like that. I'm not sure how I would use that, but I'm sure I can find a use for it. We got a container of beads. Beads are always good. I use beads on the wires that hold the gondolas of my airships, and this has got some kind of brightly colored ones in there, so that'll be kind of neat, even though it's meant for probably bracelets. That even looks like a little watch head, so I'll use those for sure. Sometimes I use this stuff, sometimes I don't. This lady that I was talking about makes miniature chandeliers for miniature houses and things like that. And so she actually uses some of these good crystals, so I'm sure that these were to hold the crystal elements for her lights. Again, it's a box. I'm not quite sure how I would use that, but there are little forms inside that might come in handy. In fact, I think that's what these are, is actually some of those little forms that held crystals, which is kind of a neat shape. I'm not quite sure how I would use it. I got to give that some thought because they look really neat. There might be some neat stuff I can do with that. Empty cream jars. Mostly with this kind of stuff, what I use that for, are the lids. The lids wind up having some cool shapes and uses on airship pieces or other sculptures. These two, I mean, even though these are already metallic, you give that a little bit of a patina, and those could wind up being pretty neat as well. This stuff is gold, though. This is like marker caps, of all different colors, but shapes like that wind up being just very useful to me. Here's some more marker caps. That stuff can all be super useful for a lot of different like uniform pieces, whether it's cannon barrels or just pieces that support other pieces. Oftentimes I slide one tube type piece inside of another one, and it allows you to either lengthen it or create something that slides if necessary. These are really neat pieces. Some of this stuff, not quite sure how I'll use. I do use plastic bubble packaging like that sometimes because it can be windows on things. It can be, a solarium on the deck of an airship, or it can be a window on the side of an airship. So these are useful pieces. Who knows, maybe I'll reuse it though. And then we've got a couple of flashlight barrels. Those have a number of different uses too. They can be, the barrel of some kind of a big gun. They can be pontoons on something, rafts on something, pillars on something. There's all kinds of uses for those. And we've got more bits and pieces of pen pieces, and yes, I do use pen barrels and caps. Like I said before, they come in handy for just a ton of things. And they can even be, propeller brackets, whatever you want to call them. So those wind up being cool. Oh, another different kind of flashlight. More empty boxes, like with those crystals in there, probably with some more of that packaging. I got to do some investigation because that could be something really cool. I just haven't really thought of what that cool would be yet. And more blister pack. I have a feeling there's going to be quite a bit of that in here. Like I said, some of it I can use right away, some of it I can't. Kind of a meshy, netty material, some random fabrics and stuff like that. Who knows how that could be employed someplace. Flat plastic always is nice because you can cut pieces out of it. I use that flat plastic sometimes for the keel fin on the bottom of an airship gondola. Some paper of some kind. I'm not sure what she's got in here. Oh, she saves me even foil, thinking that might provide some kind of a metallic surface for something. So, and who knows, it very well could. There's some other plastic shapes. Those can come in handy for a number of different things. Anything that's got one shape can be turned into something else if you go about painting it the right way. These, I'm not sure what those are. They feel like wooden tips from something, but I'm not quite sure what. More blister packaging. Here's a whole big container of stuff that's, wow. I almost hate to open it. I don't know if I can get it closed again. But you can see if we look at it, I mean, there's some stretchy cording in there. There's some other little flat plastic pieces with different shapes. Pumpers, wooden dowels. I mean, handles off of paintbrushes come in handy a lot for just that. I mean, it's a good source of wooden dowel. And there's something that's got a you know, a gear on it. That's pretty neat. That could be turned into something really slick. If we look in here without completely unpacking everything, you know, we've got another tape core. I use those for lots of different things. We got some flat, looks like metal and plastic pieces there. There's a big wooden piece, another plastic piece there, a round plastic piece. Those can get turned and made into other things. Here's some other little plastic tips off of something. That almost looks like some kind of a shaker, but it's round with vents in it. That can be just a number of things. I can't even tell you how many things like that I've used when I'm putting airship bodies together and things like that. Who knows what that shape is? It looks like a cap off of something or another. This is some kind of a spiral slinky looking thing, but doesn't that look like copper coiling or something like that that could go on the top of something? I know I'm speaking with a lot of somethings here, but it's because, you know, it requires the imagination. But as I look at these pieces in general, I'm looking for basic shapes or basic materials that can be used for other things. So I'm looking at it more for, you know, can that be imagined as something else, or is it too specific, or is it a material that I don't typically use, or something like that. And that's what I usually base my open with great care. That's what I usually base my decision on whether or not I keep it. Let's see. I don't know what that means, open with great care. Oh, I see that. Huh. I'm not even sure. Oh, I see. That pinch is open. I'm afraid to open this now. I'm not sure what's in there. Uh-oh. Oh, Nelly. That is full of stuff. That I can't even go through all that. Oh, look at all that. Can you see in there? Holy cow. If I open that up, I'm afraid I'll never get it closed again. That is crazy. There's lots of little bits in there. I see pieces of jewelry. I see caps. I see plastic pieces. I see rings. I see, wow, all kinds of stuff in there. That's going to create some cool stuff, because anything small and metallic can be used for you know, garnishing, for accentuating, for detail. And so you can really use some old jewelry for some really cool stuff, especially if it has sort of an antique-y looking flair. Wow, that's going to be something else. That's going to take another whole video just to go through that. All right, we got looks like a candle tin full of buttons and other materials. Buttons I use quite frequently, actually, because you can do a lot of decorative stuff with buttons, or buttons will also give you an idea, give you round little shapes that are good for a lot of stuff. This is some kind of a brush. I'm not sure if that's a cat brush or if it's a, I don't know, it says all-purpose pocket brush. Not quite sure what for, unless you know, carry brushes around so that, you know, if your cat's looking rough, you can give them a touch-up. Again, little makeup containers. Here we've got some ribbon that can be used. I've cut pieces of ribbon like this before and used them as flags or banners or something on an airship or a balloon. Those look cool. It's like we got a bunch of freezer containers. Those I probably wouldn't use as something as much as I would use them for what they were intended for, which is to store stuff in. Not necessarily anything I'm going to freeze, like food or anything, but but I could use them for all kinds of, like some of these little pieces that were in that box over there. Holy cow. That was just an explosion of stuff. This says Achtung. My friend is German, by the way. Caution, sharp glass edges. Do I want to open that? And she's got that pretty well wrapped. I think for safety's sake, I'm not going to open that. Maybe I'll share that with you later. Little plastic cups. That's scary. Those almost look like little specimen cups. Ew. But I don't think that's what they are. They don't have any kind of markings on the side, like volume markings. More of those. All kinds of, any kind of plastic thing like this is useful too, because that can be the base for something, it can be a sleeve on something, it can be a cap for something. Those kinds of shapes wind up being very useful and very easily made into other things. And what do we got here? Kind of some more interesting plastic shapes. That looks like some kind of like a fruit cup, like a Del Monte fruit cup, but look at the shape of that. I mean, that's got some value for, you know, an end on something. And who remembers what these are? Yeah, you know, some of you do. If you're a few years old, you know that those are 35mm film canisters. So that's not a giant secret, but you know what? The millennials of the day probably have no idea what those are. What are those? Okay. Pill container with inside, you can see it's another 35mm film canister. And then an embroidery hoop. That's got some cool uses because it's metal and it's circular. That could be used as any kind of a thing. It could be, you know, like two ribs on some kind of a cool industrial looking airship shape. That's pretty cool. I can see that being turned into that. And then we got, looks like just some random bits of fabric. I've used light colored fabrics like this as sails on airships or fins on certain airships. There, it looks like she saved me some metallic, you know, from a metallic foil box. This is actually a chunk of swimming pool liner, and I know where she got that. We have friends that build swimming pools, and so you know, they deal with liners all the time. And a Kleenex box. I'm sure she saved me this because it's got that real cool, you know, fossilization swirly pattern on it. And she's right. I've used things like that plenty of times for color and shape on things. Here's a fan. Are you hot? All right, and just more bits and pieces. Looks like calendar prints of flowers. She probably thought I could use those in some way, shape, or form. So that's about it for this box. I mean, there was quite a few things in there that I would use. Maybe some things in there that I wouldn't necessarily, but always. Oh, and these are those GBC binding things for a notebook. Always, if I can't use something, I'm either going to recycle it, re-gift it, try to pass it on. I mean, if there are things that have some real use and value that I can't use that maybe somebody else can, I'll often just donate them to like Goodwill or Salvation Army or one of those organizations that can resell the things to people, and you know, someone else can get some good use out of stuff. So I'm Stephan Smith, Artsmith Craftworks. You know, share the video with your maker friends. Give it a like. Please subscribe. I always love good subscribers. I'd like to build this up to where, you know, I've got 1,000 subscribers here by the end of the year. Don't quite have that many yet. And yeah, be watching for the next box opening video. I get stuff like this all the time, so I'm always opening a box. Thanks. See you later. Okay, I had to come back on because I got this box open, and I'm going to show you this, and you're not going to believe this. Look at this. Holy crap. It's full of odds and ends of jewelry, bits and pieces of, well, it's really like everything. I mean, I'm speechless. Jewelry, pen pieces, little bits and pieces of gears and mechanisms in some of these containers. You've got part of a pen barrel, you've got keychains, you've got carabiners, you've got pen clips, you got little things I think that are meant to be like the desiccant that you get in a package or in shoes or something like that. Little pins, little earrings. I mean, wow. Pieces of wood. It's going to take me forever to go through this. But this is why she said open with great care. Well, that's because if I'd opened that quickly, it would have been all over the table, and it's just an enormous amount of stuff I've got to go through. So that's what I have to go through. Are you glad I showed this to you? See ya.